Welcome, this is Platinum Northwest TV News in the headlines. We begin with a celebration of innovation and academic excellence as Star Schools honors young STEM achievers in Joburg and Kanana. We then head to Brits, where Platinum Northwest TV joined forces with learners to tackle youth health challenges from teen pregnancy to substance abuse. In Pretoria, 3 anonymous witnesses are set to testify at the Madlanga Commission, shedding light on cartel-linked crimes and alleged interference. On the international front, major news outlets are pushing back against the Pentagon's newly proposed press restrictions. In business, Electricity Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa unveils a bold new energy plan aimed at ending load shedding for good. In the sports, South Africa celebrates a golden double as both national hockey teams are crowned African champions. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Boitumelo Monare. It's great to have you with us. A formal awards ceremony was held on Saturday at Hoërskool Orkney to honor academic excellence. The event, hosted by Star Schools in partnership with Harmony and the Department of Education, celebrated learners from the STEM Incubator Program and marked the official opening of a new center in Kanana. Students from both the Joburg and newly launched Kanana centers were recognized for their achievements in the program, which aims to build technical skills and prepare learners for careers in science, technology, engineering and mathematics. The CEO of Star Schools delivered a congratulatory message, urging learners to continue striving for academic excellence. Reporter Boitumelo Monare was at the event and brings us the story.
We spoke with Vimala Aryan, the CEO of Star Schools, who provided an overview of the organization and its activities.
Star Schools is an institution that offers matric rewrites and the STEM incubator programs. And we do that nationally on multiple sites throughout the country. Our aim is to up the STEM subjects levels. So we choose the kind of training we give kids is to basically get them to perform better in those subjects so that they are more able to enter into qualifications at university level that require high marks in these subjects. But having said that, Star Schools also is very committed to making sure that education and progression of education is offered to all students. So we also promote other kinds of learnings into artisan and into the NQF level learnerships. So that is another stepping stone to university that is often ignored by most students in their pursuit to gain university education. The current STEM program that is funded by Harmony, Gold, is here to promote the science, technology, engineering and mathematics subjects. And why do we want to do that? Because we find that overall we are not performing as well as we should. Hence the need to provide that extra support, that extra tuition, and to encourage the students to put in an extra effort into these subjects so that they stand a good chance to enter into formal qualifications as a progressive movement forward. So we have about, when it comes to the pass rate, we have about 87 pass rate and success of students going through this program, and we have at least a 73% chance of students that's an average of students going into university. So we have Star School STEM sites all over the country, and in some provinces we have multiple sites. So we operate nationally.
Sylvia Selike, who is the Senior Group Talent Manager at Harmony, outlined the support provided for the incubator program across the 2 centers, including the methods of supplying resources and evaluating learner progress and success.
My name is Sylvia Seleka. I am the Senior Group Talent Manager for Harmony, and I'm also a co-founder for the Maths and Science program. The reason why Harmony had invested in the Maths and Science program, particularly in Kanana and Joburton, it is our host communities, and what we normally do as Harmony, we get the talent from the communities we are operating at. And we have decided that we should start with the Maths and Science because our mining core business requires qualifications that has got Maths and Science. So investing in this program, we are really developing future leaders that will take Harmony to the next heights. How the program works is that we co-fund the tuition for Maths and Science, and then the students, upon successful completion of their grade 12s, they do get a chance to get into our bursary program. And post the bursary program, they are also, integrated into Harmony as graduates, and with, possible absorption. We have done this over a decade now, and we have not let any student go upon successful completion of the program. We have expanded to other regions, but we are still on the journey to expand. We've got the same program in the Free State, where we have 5 mines there. And there we are sponsoring a total of 600 learners from grade 10 to 12, and we're spending up around 4.3 million. And then we have in the Northwest, we initially had Joburton for the previous years, where we were funding 60 students. And this year we started with Kanana, which was not in the pipeline. We saw how the program was doing great, and then we decided to expand. So in the Northwest, we have Kanana and Joburton, and we are spending over 1.8 million. We also have in Gauteng, we've got Kokosi in Carltonville, and we have expanded this year as well. We are funding 90 learners, and we spend a total of 1.5 million. And the expansion is an ongoing journey, but obviously based on the current performance.
As the festive season gets underway, the South African government has rolled out a comprehensive strategy to tackle the heightened risk of criminal activity. The initiative, known as the Safer Festive Season Operations, is led by the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster. On Friday, the Northwest leg of the operations was officially launched by MEC for Community Safety and Transport Management, Wessels Moreng, alongside Acting Provincial Commissioner Major General Patrick Asaneng. The operations, which will run through until the 31st of January 2026, aiming to ensure public safety during the holiday period. Boitumelo has more on this report.
We conducted an interview with Major General Patrick Asaneng, who is the Provincial Police Commissioner, during which we discussed the overall event, highlighted how it differs from previous efforts, and outlined the primary objectives of this operation.
Letsholo le re le tlhomang gompieno le ke le re le bitsa re ke Operation Safer Festive, ke letsholo le re le tlhomang ngwaga le ngwaga fa re fitlha mo kgweding ya October, mme letsholo le le tswella go fitlhella Ferikgong January wa ngwaga o latelang fa o ya fifing. Letsholo le ke le dirwang ke mafapha a tshireletsego a akaretsa sepodisi, borrapharakano ba ba tlhokomelang melelwane ga mmogo le ba merero ya selegae, Home Affairs. Jaaka ke setse ke tlhalositse, ke letsholo le le dirwang ke setheo se re se bitsa re ke Prof Joint, mme maitlhomo le maikaelelo a operation e ke go bona gore fa ditlhatlhobo tsa bofelo ba ngwaga di simolola, baithuti ba sireletsegile, baagi ba rona fa meepo le dikgwebo tse di rileng di tswalla, batho ba ya magaeng ba tsamaye ka pobolesego mo mebileng, ba sireletsege, le gore go ska ga nna le go tshwarwa poo bogolosegolo jang mo mafelong a dikgwebo, le go sireletsa bajanala ba batlang mo nageng ya rona le mo province ya Bokone Bophirima.
We also discussed with the MEC of the Department of Community Safety and Transport Management in the Northwest Wessels-Moring, outlining the initiatives and measures the department is implementing to reduce crime rates in the region.
Us to increase our GDP because people will be moving from one area to another, going to various holiday destinations. It cannot be that criminals will hinder with them because that will affect our economy greatly because community safety is a serious economic enabler and transport, as you know that I'm responsible for community safety and transport. So we are here to offer support to SAPS, to border management authorities, to traffic officers, including Home Affairs, because it's a joint operations that is geared towards making sure that we bring criminal activities to zero tolerance, starting from now until the 31st of January. It's a 4 months of activities, of focused campaigns, of making sure that we decisively put issues into actions and deal with criminals decisively into our homes in the province.
Still in local news, the Northwest Education Department under MEC Viola Mutsumi hosted a provincial prayer and grade 12 pledge signing ceremony on Friday at the Waterkloof Secondary School in Rustenburg. The event served as a spiritual send-off and motivational boost for the class of 2025, who begin their final National Senior Certificate exams tomorrow. It marked the end of a week-long series of prayer services held across the province, bringing together learners, educators, parents, and community leaders in support of the matriculants. Umalusi CEO Dr. Mafu Rakumesi has assured the public that although a recent audit flagged some concerns, these will not compromise the credibility of the examinations.
Administration and management of the 2025 end-of-year national examinations. For that reason, I can report to the public that by and large the system is ready to administer the 2025 end-of-year national examinations. The highlighted areas of concern are not systemic and therefore will not put the overall credibility and integrity of the 2025 examinations in jeopardy. All the concerns have been brought to the attention of the relevant heads of department in the provinces and the directors general of the Department of Basic Education, the Department of Higher Education and Training, the CEOs of the IEB and Sakai, for the corrective actions to be taken before the start of the examinations.
We now turn to Brits, where on Friday the Platinum Northwest TV crew joined stakeholders from across the province at Boitumelo High School in Okasi Township. The school is among those grappling with high rates of teenage pregnancy. The event focused on educating and empowering adolescents and youth on sexual and reproductive health. Topics included teenage pregnancy, contraceptive use, sexually transmitted infections, substance abuse, and gender-based violence. Platinum Northwest TV, together with the Northwest University, actively participated in discussions, working alongside learners to challenge these pressing challenges.
Good afternoon. It's a big pleasure for the Northwest University to be present here in Okasi, just outside Brits, here at the Samora Christian Church. We've been invited here to just talk to the learners in the nearby schools about careers that are available through the Northwest University, and this now speaks to the qualifications that we offer. It is obviously being the only university in the province, the Northwest University really takes this opportunity gratefully, and we try and make sure that we are able to provide the learners with the necessary information that they need to. So from our side, it's a great pleasure to be here and to also link up with the Department of Health as well as the Department of Basic Education to provide the learners with the information that they do so require.
More from the province, as the Mahikeng local municipality has moved to set the record straight on a message doing the rounds on social media. The message falsely claims that a tender involving the municipality, the Department of Public Works and Roads, and SANRAL has been awarded, and that a related meeting is set to take place at Mabatu Stadium. In a statement, the municipality dismissed the claims as false and misleading. Officials say no such tender or meeting has been authorized or coordinated with the mentioned parties. Residents are being urged to ignore the message and to avoid sharing unverified information online. A reminder to the public that all official announcements will only be made through verified municipal channels and spokespersons. 3 witnesses known only as Witness A, B, and C are scheduled to testify remotely and partially in camera at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria from today, Monday the 20th, until Wednesday, the 22nd of October. Their testimony will focus on their experiences investigating crimes linked to criminal cartels, which are at the center of the Commission's probe. They are also expected to discuss alleged attempts to interfere with their investigations. The decision to hold these sessions partially in camera was made due to the sensitive nature of the evidence and the witnesses' safety, following a similar procedure last week for another witness identified as Witness X. While they will not be seen on camera, their voices will be audible to the public. The proceedings will be live streamed and any exhibits will be displayed on screen. Transcripts of their testimonies will be made publicly available after all 3 have completed their evidence. With that, let's take a look at international news. Concerns over press freedom are growing in the United States following controversial new reporting rules introduced at the Pentagon. Journalists covering the U.S. Department of Defense are now being asked to acknowledge strict conditions, including a requirement that all information, even if unclassified, must be approved by officials before it can be reported. The rules also limit journalists' movement within the Pentagon and warn that access could be revoked for those who don't comply. And while concerns over press freedom continue to stir debate at the Pentagon, another major development is unfolding. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced plans to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in the upcoming weeks to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine, a bold move aimed at recalibrating engagement with Moscow. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt addressed the prospective summit, noting that Trump felt great progress was made on the call to the Russian president.
Discussed, President Putin congratulated President Trump for solving the conflict in Israel and Gaza and bringing peace back to the Middle East. He also thanked the First Lady for her efforts to bring back children and save children in this brutal conflict. And the President feels like great progress was made on this call. They also agreed to have a high-level senior staff meeting convened as early as next week, which will then be followed by a meeting very likely between President Trump and President Putin as well. They talked about Budapest as being a location for that. So as you all know, President Zelensky is coming to the White House tomorrow, so these discussions will continue.
And now we turn to the business news. South Africa's Minister of Electricity and Energy, Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, has announced a new integrated resource plan to end load shedding permanently. The plan represents a 2.2 trillion rand investment strategy to bolster the country's energy security and drive economic recovery. The Minister of Electricity and Energy, Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, announced the plan at a media briefing in Pretoria on Sunday.
We know that major European powers are going the route that they were taking, or they've gone the route that we are taking, and in the course of doing that, they also answer the question, what is in the best interest of their respective economies? So before you answer the question of what is our obligations and contribution to a global agenda, first we've got a primary responsibility to answer the question, how does this intervention take into account our domestic circumstances? And as an example, our domestic circumstances means that we are coal endowed. So you can't just relinquish coal as your source of base load. But you also accept that the emissions requires attention. and we'll illustrate to you how we are able to resolve what appears to be an inherent tension between the exploitation of coal and also the reduction of emissions. So like I said, we want to achieve a security of electricity supply. We want to talk of load shedding in past tense. We want to ensure that when the President and Cabinet says we want to grow the economy by 3 percentage points, that in fact we've got sufficient supply to support that growth. And that supply must be available now so that growth can follow. The economy doesn't grow and supply comes later because it's an enabler of that growth. So we're making sure that at every material point we've got sufficient supply. And this supply must be able to absorb the shocks. So if they can be, you remember during bouts of load shedding, we came before the country and said there's a cluster of units failing, and as a result of that, it has reduced our capacity. We don't have enough headroom to accommodate the demand, and for us to address that shortage, we have to initiate load shedding. So this security of supply is such that even if we've got multiple units failures, whether on the ESCOM side, on the private sector side, we must still have sufficient electricity for the economy to continue to operate. We don't subject our people to darkness or to load shedding. And then we want to minimize the cost of electricity to the economy. One of the big conversations now is the affordability of electricity. So we can say whatever we want to say about sufficient supply, for as long as that electricity is not available, it means that our people don't have access to this electricity. It means that industries will not be competitive, and as they lose the market share, they must put people out of jobs because the operational costs are such that they are not able to sustain them because they are losing market share. So it's important that we are able to minimize the cost of electricity to the economy. And as I said before, we'll come with that plan on how we are going to address that. And the other one is the environmental impact, as I've mentioned before.
In more business news, township development recently took center stage at the ABSA Saki Economy Development Summit in Klerksdorp. The summit brought together business leaders, policymakers, and entrepreneurs to explore ways of strengthening township economies and driving inclusive growth. The event focused on unlocking investment, supporting small businesses, and creating sustainable pathways for economic participation in South Africa's townships. Neil Pollock, Vice President of the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, spoke about the role both ABSA and the Chamber are playing in revitalizing township economies.
So it's very important because you need to have structures put in place and you need to have leadership put in place. And I think ABSA is a very good demonstration of this, is how they've taken their corporate responsibility and wanting to develop the township economy. But the township economy can't look to ABSA and say you have to resolve our problems. The townships need to be able to come forward in a business-orientated manner to, for example, ABSA, and say we need help in this environment. And that's where I believe business chambers play such an important role. You've got a very important chamber in Klerksdorp, and it belongs to a regional chamber, and the regional chamber reports into SACI. SACI is a body that looks at the whole of South Africa. And we're listening to the different chambers speaking to us to understand where are the important issues. Now, if you look in this particular area, most probably your important issues are around the mining industry. And if we were in an agricultural environment, for example, in Stellenbosch, it's going to be all about wine. So what are the important issues that are taking place in this particular area?
We also caught up with Jacob, a local entrepreneur who showcased his artwork at the summit. SACI, in collaboration with ABSA, working to revitalize and support small businesses and businesses like yours. How do you hope that this event will actually help you going forward?
Probably with funding first and then exposure. More than funding, I need exposure so that people can see the vision of the gallery. Yeah, so if I can get that exposure through marketing means, through other business, maybe advisory, then yeah, I think this event would have helped me. Yeah.
Just before we let you go, can you explain, you have some very interesting art, can you explain the inspiration behind some of your pieces?
Yeah, so with these pieces here, the big pieces, they were part of an exhibition. So the collection is called Boitumelo Monare, which means all the women. So with this collection, I tried to incorporate African women.
We now shift our attention to the sports news. South Africa's national hockey teams pulled off a remarkable double victory at the 2025 African Hockey Cup of Nations in Ismailia, Egypt this past weekend. Both the men's and women's sides clinched gold medals, reaffirming South Africa's dominance on the continental stage and securing direct qualification for the 2026 Hockey World Cups. The women's team delivered a commanding 4-0 win over Ghana in the final match, earning their 8th consecutive continental title. Goals from Jean-Lee Dutoy, Kayla Duval, and Hannah Pierce sealed their continued success. On the men's side, a stunning hat-trick from rising star Mustafa Kasim stole the spotlight as the men's team finished with a powerful 5-1 victory over host nation Egypt, also claiming their 8th AFCON title. In football news, a familiar brand is making a major comeback to the national stage. Adidas has returned as the official technical sponsor of all South African national football teams in a landmark 3-year deal with the South African Football Association. It's a powerful reunion, 15 years after South Africa hosted the 2010 FIFA World Cup and just as Bafana Bafana gear up for the 2026 tournament. SAFA CEO Lydia Muniapao says the partnership goes beyond sponsorship, calling it a return to shared values of pride, resilience and performance. Adidas will supply match kits, training gear and a full fan collection, all set to launch in March 2026. And that's all from us for now. Thank you for watching. From myself and the team, until next time, goodbye.